Hello, Revere, and welcome to our Revere Veterans and Community Show. Today we have another special guest. His name is Matthew Amato, and he's running for Councillor at Large. Matthew, welcome to Revere TV.
Thank you for having me, Maurice.
Before we begin, I always ask this question, so I'm not going to make it any different. Tell us a little about yourself.
All right. Matthew Amato. I'm born and raised in Revere, Massachusetts. I graduated Revere High School in 2004. Graduated from the University of Texas in 2008.
Go ahead.
Doing some math.
Yeah, so you're about 28, 29.
29 years old, exactly.
Right.
And 2008, University of Texas, economics degree, minor in history and a minor in the Italian language.
Right.
After that, moved home, came and I was working at an investment bank in Boston, Brown Brothers Harriman. I spent about 2 years there, and then I joined the United States Peace Corps. I served in Madagascar for 2.5 years. And then I returned home for a brief period of time.
Right.
Go
For
ahead.
people that are not familiar with Madagascar, I know it's an island off the coast.
Yes, sir.
But which coast?
Southeast Africa. Off the coast of Southeast Africa. It's in the Indian Ocean. Beautiful island. Let me tell you, I'm so proud of this island. It was unbelievable, my time there.
Tell us a little about the people there and the people you helped there.
Oh, it was amazing. So thank you for asking me that. The people there, the Malagasy is the people you'll find in Madagascar. And they're a bit Indonesian, African looking
And
people.
what language do they speak?
And they speak Malagasy. I speak well.
Well, do you?
Zalai, Zamahai, Beiteni Malagasy.
I hope it's something nice you said
yeah, of
about
course. Just saying I speak Malagasy and that's it. But it's a nice language.
It is.
And in the Peace Corps, they have an excellent.
How did you first get into the Peace Corps? What made you first get into that?
Oh, well, you know what? After the University of Texas, I was interested in, the Peace Corps, not necessarily the Peace Corps, traveling. I studied abroad in Italy while I was in the University of Texas. And then I remember there was a job fair after, when it was approaching graduation at the University of Texas. And I was going around and I was talking to everyone and I came across the Peace Corps booth. And I talked to them there and they were excellent. They just gave me all the information. John F. Kennedy started it. Some of the programs they do, the language opportunities, and since then I was hooked. I returned home and I was working in an investment bank in Boston, but that was always kind of in the back of my mind. I wanted to travel, get that international experience. So I was real lucky to get in there because it's not easy. It took me about a year to get in.
Exactly. What do you do when you're in the Peace Corps? That's
Yeah. So great question. The Peace Corps is volunteers. We're volunteers that serve usually in lesser developed countries.
Do you have to sign a certain amount of time, or
Yeah, it's a two and a half year service. It is 3 months of training, language training, culture training. And that's done in country.
Oh,
and then after that 3-month training, you serve for 2 years in the Peace Corps.
So anybody that goes to any university can go on, or can come out of high school and go into the Peace Corps?
No, it's usually exclusively for college graduates. They might make some exceptions, but it's usually college graduates.
So that really makes you a veteran of the community.
A veteran of the community.
On a community
Community service.
Thank you again for your service. See that?
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you,
mine
sir.
was military service, but yours is really just as good community service.
I appreciate that. It felt great. I mean, you know how it is. When you do that type of work, it feels great. And to be over there and to serve, it really was a pleasure.
Yep. Like I mentioned, now you mentioned to me that I asked you where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
You said you work on a farm.
Mm-hmm. I do. I work on a farm in Sudbury, Sienna Farms, excellent Sienna Farms in Sudbury, Massachusetts. We're in the Boston Public Marketplace. The brand new one just opened up in August. It's right at Haymarket.
Right.
Gorgeous in there, brand new. Then we do the Copley Market on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Is that like the farmer's market?
Exactly.
Oh.
Come right up and it's all outside. It's excellent. All fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and it's all from anything that we can't grow there, we can't get there. It's all New England, all local.
Right. Is it organic or it's?
We follow organic practices. but some things aren't completely
Organic.
Organic. We don't have the certification.
Is it-
We've
oh,
never,
right.
never gone to do that. But unbelievable when I tell you some of these products, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
Exactly what other products?
Oh, we do. All fruits and vegetables, you name it. Zucchini, squash, tomatoes, celery, cucumbers, lettuce, all the different
Healthy
greens.
foods.
Oh, it's excellent. It's excellent. You get
You
out
know,
there and work outside a little
I
bit.
have to tell you, when I was 14, I went to Rutland, Vermont. First time I ever left New York City. And it was a big trip for me to go to work on a farm in, excuse me, a town called Ira, ironically. Vermont. In a little town there where the farmer had cows, and it was my job to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go find Betsy with the bell, bring her in, milk her. Yeah, that was my job at 14, to get the cows there and follow them.
You said New York? Is
I
that where you're
originally
from?
come from New York.
Okay, then you went over to Vermont, and then...
Right. The school, where I went to public school, I was in my senior class. And they were looking for volunteers in 1944 because the younger men were off at war and there was nobody, the farmers had to work the fields. And it was for $1 a day. Now, $1 to me in those days meant a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I was volunteered.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I went up there. Like I say, I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, took care of the cows. Then in the afternoon, we went out, we did the hay, raked in the hay, feed the animals. Then before around 3:30, 4 o'clock, I would clean the stalls out, which I didn't mind at all. That's it.
Yeah, no, it's honest work, honest pay.
So I enjoyed it too, working on a farm. I thought it was very healthy.
Yeah, we have some of the animals out there as well. We only do chickens right now, but I take care of the chickens. I have some experience doing that in Madagascar. Eggs, feeding them, watering them. You know, it's great taking care of them.
Now, you're running for councillor at large.
Yes, sir, Councillor at large.
And what made you decide all of a sudden, being in the Peace Corps, working on a farm, and say, oh, I'm going to run for councillor?
You know, while I was working over there, it was always kind of...
Oh, it was always in the back of your mind?
Not really in the back of my mind, but I knew that type of work was what I enjoyed.
Oh, okay.
So while I was working in community service, that field, when I came home, I said, I missed that. I was working on the farm, which I loved, but that interaction with the community. You really know what's going on when you're day-to-day talking with your neighbors, you know, involved in the community, and that's what I missed.
I have to tell you something. You're going to laugh at this, but it's funny. I just learned how to do a little on the computer within the last 3 months, thanks to Revere TV, because they helped me get onto it. I never knew how to even turn the switch on.
I don't know. I see you in there. You look like you're pretty good on the back.
Yeah,
on
thanks
YouTube
to the
and
teachers
everything
I
like
had
that.
over here.
Right.
But I have to tell you, I get onto the computer just like you. You want to run for politics to know things. I look on the computer. I turn on the BBC.
Mm-hmm.
I tune into the Revere's turn on. I still got my Brooklyn accent. And I turn on for the Revere News. And that's how I called up my walkie-talkie. You know, during the Second World War, we had walkie-talkies.
Oh, yeah.
They were like little telephones.
Oh, yeah.
We relay messages. I call the computer the walkie-talkie, except one thing. It answers me back once in a while.
Yeah. No, it's great. Getting the news from the computer's great. I love it. The newspaper's great. But sometimes you get a different energy, you get a different vibe, you get a different opinion when you go up to someone's front door and you knock and you speak with them. And
Yeah, human
person to
contact is the
person,
best.
it's the best.
So you're going around door to door talking
Oh,
to
yeah.
people?
Knocking on the doors, pounding the pavement. And it's been great. And the best part is I've been getting a great reception from everyone out there, first of all. And it's just, I get to see a lot of people that I haven't necessarily seen in a while. And I mean, I had been away. I was Peace Corps and then...
That's right, 2.5 years you said?
Yeah, 2.5 years Peace Corps. But then after that, I was working as a development consultant back in Madagascar. So I came home quick, maybe 3 or 4 months, and I was offered a job to return to Madagascar as
you
a
took
development
it?
consultant. Yeah,
How-
I was there for another 2.5 years.
How long is the flight there?
Ooh, it's a long one. It was about 8 hours from Boston to Europe, either Italy or France, and then you'd connect to Madagascar, which was about another 8 to 10 hours. So it was
From
a
Europe
long,
to Madagascar?
Oh yeah, it was a long, long trip.
That's almost a day. Well, three-quarters of a
18
day.
hours. And
Yeah.
the travel time would usually be 20 hours, 22 hours, because you take the flight, you have a little layover in Europe. From Europe, you'll have to wait and then fly into Madagascar. It was tough, you know. You watch 4 or 5 movies.
What about the temperatures out there, the weather?
Tropical.
Never any
Tropical.
snow, never anything?
No, no, no. We'd get rain. We'd get some heavy rain.
Oh, you do? Just like Hawaii.
Just like Hawaii. I imagine. I've never been. I imagine. It's
No,
like
I
Hawaii.
worked in
Tropical.
Hawaii because they get torrential downpours there.
Pounding.
You can't even see in front of your eyes.
That's exactly how it was. You'd get really pounding rain, couldn't see anything. All the palm trees are blowing all over, but...
I got to ask you a
beautiful
question.
country.
You
Ask.
said you went to university. You talked about the Peace Corps.
Yes, sir.
So tell us about your city council running now. You know, what you would like to see. What would you like to do if you got in?
City Council, very interesting. I know we have a big field right now. There's 12 candidates running. And I say, people ask me all the time, why do you want to run? There's 12 people running. Excellent. Because that shows that people care about the city. When 12 people want to run, that means, you know, there's political thought going on. There's political discussion.
That's right.
These people want to get involved just as much as I do, and as long as it's for the progress of Revere, that main goal is in mind. I say the more the merrier. Let's get in there and let's make this work. But the reason I want to run for city council is my work in Madagascar and my grandfather. My grandfather was a city councilor, Patsy Tater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Pat Tatey was a Revere resident his whole life. He was a Revere firefighter for, I think, 30 plus years. He was the union president of the fire department union. And then he was a city councilor. He was elected 3 times. And then he ran for state representative. I remember he ran for state rep against DeLeo.
Oh, Bob DeLeo.
Yeah, okay. Exactly, he's the speaker.
Right.
So my uncle was telling me a story. He saw DeLeo and he said, you know, just shaking his hand. This was, I think, recently. How are you? And Mr. DeLeo said, oh, I'm great. You know, I loved your grandfather, because they became real good friends. They were both running for the position, but there was no, nothing like that.
Yeah, good.
So Mr. DeLeo says, oh, I knew your grandfather so well. He said he was the only man I ever ran against that was politicking for me. He never had a bad thing to say about me, you know? And that's just the way it was. That was.
I would like to interject, because I'm a World War II veteran. I understand your grandfather was a World War II.
Yes, Grandpa served. He was in the Navy, and he served in Japan. And he told me a funny story when he was going into the Navy. He said, Matt, I was afraid of the ocean. Not afraid, but to be out way deep in the ocean was a little intimidating for him. And he said, I wasn't the strongest swimmer, so I remember they gave me the swimming test. To get into the Navy, you can't just get in. At the time, you had to swim. So he said he laid back on, he was flat on his back in the water, and he was kicking his feet and just praying that this thing got over. And he felt the tap on his shoulder. It was from the man administering the test, and saying, all right, you're all set. He flipped over and said, all right, get me out of here. Wasn't the strongest swimmer, but he could do the back float, I guess. But
I don't know how to swim. That's why I didn't go. When I went into the service, I knew right away that they wouldn't take me.
Stay away from the Navy.
So I went into the Army. Yeah, which was good.
And tell me a bit. You were saying earlier you worked.
I was in the military intelligence
as
an interpreter at the time, because I spoke German. My father was born there, so it was easy for me to speak the language, and they needed someone, you know, to translate for the Germans or for the DPWs, because a lot of the displaced persons, the DP camps, spoke German, and they.
And how long were you there?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So that was my job. In Salzburg, Austria, I was stationed in Salzburg, where they have the Salzburg Festival.
Yeah.
Where they have the castle. As a matter of fact, if you ever saw the movie The Sound of Music with Julie Andrews, that's where it was filmed, in Salzburg, Austria, right? And the castle that was up on the hill we used to see there, we used to go up to the Mirabelle Gardens over there, so it was nice.
I imagine. Beautiful.
A great musician lived there. Mozart was born there. So,
know some of his work, excellent.
Yeah, so that was good. Then I had stationed in Vienna for a while, which is a beautiful city. It wasn't hit too hard by the war.
Oh, yeah.
Hardly hit, if I could say. So was Salzburg, hardly hit. Then I went to Munich, which wasn't hit too bad. The cities that were hit were like Dresden, Kassel, Hamburg. Frankfurt was a little bombed. Berlin was bombed to the ground practically up there because, you know, that's where the main headquarters was, and that's where they knocked them out, I guess, during the war. And then I went to work. When I first got into Germany, there was the Office of Military Government, OMGUS, they called it AMGUS, and General Lucius D. Clay, who was the commanding general in charge of the American troops, because Berlin was divided into 4 zones. The Soviets, the French, the British, and the Americans. I didn't know who the British and French leaders were, but I remember the one at the Soviets was Marshal Sokolowski, who was a real tough man. Yeah. So those are my memories of the youth. But I was only 17, 18.
Wow. I can't believe that. So young, right?
Yeah. Well, I went in at 17. I tried to get in a little younger, but
they wouldn't let you, right? I think, as I recall, my grandfather tried to get in young, and he couldn't get in that young.
Today, you got to be, I think, 18 minimum.
18,
But at my time, it was 17.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, it's the sad story. A couple of years ago, they had the Vietnam War coming. Well, almost a couple of years ago, the Vietnam War came to the American Legion, and they brought the wall with them, a replica of the original wall.
Yeah.
And they had all the names on there, and the gentleman who was in charge of it, I went over to ask him, I said, what is the youngest age on that wall? Guess what he told me? Take a gander. Just guess.
15.
14.
14, wow.
The kid went in at 14 because his family was poor. He thought he'd make some money in the Army, and he was sent at home. The sad part about it, he only lasted 4 months, and he was killed, so he was the youngest one killed on that wall.
Wow.
Which is sad, too.
Yeah. Use someone else's ID or something like that. Back then, it might have been a different story. You get in.
So you're talking about Pat Tate, your father?
Yeah, grandfather.
I mean, your grandfather, who happens to be a World War II veteran. What part of Japan? Did he go into Japan himself?
He was. I think they would come in and out. You know, not so often staying there, but I think they did pretty much a.
The islands, what are some of the islands that he ran around?
You know, I'm not too sure. I'm not too positive.
Well, I remember from my memory, there was Wake Island, Guadalcanal, Okinawa, which was the southern part of Japan, Borneo, Australia, Wake Island. Of course, did he get to Hawaii, by the way?
I'm sure he had to pass through there, right? That was pretty much the
main base.
The main base
over there, yeah.
So at the time. And speaking of Japan, now my younger cousin is serving in the military. That's where he is. He's in the Navy.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, my cousin Dylan Stewart.
How
Real
old
proud
is
of
Dylan?
my cousin
How old
Dylan
is
Stewart. He's 22.
Oh, he's a youngster.
Now. Oh, yeah. But he joined, I think, about a year and a half ago, and he's doing physical therapy. So he's over in Japan, working there now, so serving there.
Well, now, you have a family, right?
Yes, sir. My older brother, Michael Amato. Yep.
Do you have a wife and kids?
I don't.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, speak about your mother and father and the other brother.
Yeah, my mother works in the school system. She's at the Lincoln School.
Oh, is she?
Oh, yeah. She's been there for a long time.
What does she teach?
She's a teacher's aide. And she's been there a while now. She loves it. Miss Stacy's class.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yep.
Don't be bashful. Let the people know.
Yeah. She's at Miss Stacy's class. She loves it there. You know, everyone calls her Miss Lisa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The kids love her there. My younger brother's 15. He's at the high school. Oh, I'm sorry. My younger brother's 17. Wow. Look at, I'm still in Madagascar thinking he's a little kid. But he's 17. He'll be a senior at the Revere High School this year. So we're looking at college for him.
I hope if he's at Revere High School, the best thing for the kids who are in the senior or in the high school to join the ROTC.
Oh, yeah.
To Reserve Versus Training Corps, because that is the best thing, you know.
Oh,
they didn't have that when I was there. They didn't have that.
No, but it just teaches them
discipline,
right. To be on time, respect. They dress up. They look well. They carry themselves well. And that's what I really enjoy about the ROTC.
I had a sergeant, his name was Tomei, T-O-M-E-I. And you know how you go into a like you come into a community center and you want to make a speech and everybody is talking, and you can't talk over them. And he was very strict. He says to the barracks when he would come in, he says, when I speak, no one speaks unless you want to be put in the brig. When
I speak, you listen, like that, right?
Right, but if it says when I speak, no one
Nobody
speaks.
speaks.
Okay,
Yeah.
unless you want to be put in the brig. So maybe we should build one in the city of.
Put a brig, throw them in the brig. No, but I actually did. I did some work at the high school. I was working I was a substitute teacher. It was actually while I was home after the Peace
What did you
Corps.
teach as a substitute?
I was teaching mathematics. I was working as a permanent sub. One of the teachers at the school had to leave for whatever that personal reason was, and I came in to fill in. I was there for about 2 months, because I remember I got a call spoke to Mr. Mitchell. Now he's I think he's assistant principal up there. Mr. Mitchell, one of the nicest guys. He was my English teacher when I was in school. Excellent teacher, stand-up guy, just a role model. And so I had spoken to him, and he said, you know what, we had a teacher that had to leave. You know, we're in a tough spot right now. Come in, teach some math. I was doing geometry and algebra, 9th and 10th grade. Great experience.
You know, it's funny. When we went to school, and I'm talking high school now, we had like algebra and plane geometry. Trigonometry at that time was a college course.
Yeah.
Descriptive geometry, a lot of people don't know that, but that there's more geometry than just plain geometry. There's solid geometry, descriptive geometry, analytical geometry, and you take all these courses before you take the calculus course. So, and you thought
I did algebra, but then at the University of Texas, I did calculus, business calculus, economics major. You know, I did developmental economics. It was.
I have to tell you, differential calculus and integral calculus, I never used on the outside. I never used on the outside.
If you get into that field, I'm sure you can use it. But yeah.
Physics, if you're doing physics,
I'm sure you're not going to go into Stop and Shop and find out something, right?
No, but I used to use a lot of trigonometry, and a lot of plane geometry, and a lot of solid geometry. That's what I did in my field.
Absolutely.
So, you know, so the kids that go to school, if they really want to get a good job, whether it be in construction or anything, math is one of the best subjects for them to get in.
But speaking about education, here in Revere, we are so lucky to have such an amazing education system that we have. You know, seeing that, serving in Madagascar, the education levels that some other people are working with, some of these students have, we start at such a high level. You know, and especially in Revere, look at all the new schools, the technology
I know that.
we
They just got through with the Hill School.
I know, and that's right on Park Ave. I live up on Reservoir Ave. I get to pass it every day. I see this. My uncle Michael Stewart works there. He tells me what a great job they're doing in there. You know, the Revere education system, and I know I'm a product of it, is excellent. You know, when I went to the University of Texas, I felt prepared. I felt ready. You know, I was competing with these other students from all over the world, and that was a large part. That had a large part to do with my education here in Revere. Yeah, I think that is another reason why I'm so proud to be from here, and that's why I want to come in here and work in the city council and give back to the city that's given me so much.
You know, when I speak to my brother, and I do have brothers, when I speak to my brother in New York and I tell him about Dr. Dakin, our superintendent, who was voted the #1 out of 50, you know, superintendents as the #1 in the country.
Exactly.
And I say to them, we only have about 51 or 52 million people in the city of Revere.
Only.
You got 8, 9, 10 million people in the city of New York, okay? And we still come out #1. Don't like that.
Sure. No, but it really is a point of pride.
It is.
The education system. I remember as I said, my little brother's in the high school. He comes home with his iPad. You know, there's just technology there. There's resources for these kids that are gonna help them compete with the world. Because you know, it's. As much as I love my city, it's not just Revere anymore. It's not just Massachusetts anymore. We're an international economy.
I know that.
We have to compete with students all over the world.
Look at the different languages they speak right at the Revere High School.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. They should be teaching new languages. My grandfather speaks Italian, spoke Italian. I speak well because I was exposed to that. I studied abroad. I learned Italian in Italy. Then I came back. I was in Madagascar. I speak Malagasy very well. I speak the French language. I was using that over there. I was using French over there. That's the business language. It's good to be able to travel, and even if you're not completely fluent in a language, to be able to have a conversation with someone. You know, you could help. if you have an emergency, you can't ask, you know, where's a hospital or something like that. It's good to be able to speak. Go ahead.
Can I put you on the spot?
Go
Okay?
ahead.
If you don't have to. You work on a farm now.
Yes, sir.
Is that what you want to do for the rest of your life, or would you like to do something else
You
too?
know, the farm is great. It was just an excellent transition back from Madagascar, from the work I was doing there. As a development consultant, I was specifically working with vanilla farmers. I was organizing vanilla farmers to get Rainforest Alliance certifications. I don't want to get too technical, but what we were doing was going into villages that maybe didn't have enough resources or money to get their vanilla, which is like gold there. That's a major export cash crop in Madagascar. We were helping them get that from their village, get the kids in school, make sure that they had health care where they were, get that product to the market and receive a fair price for it.
Let me ask you, the average income of a family in Madagascar as compared to a family in the United
States, it was about $2 a day is what most people were working with.
And how long ago was this, you would say?
That was, I got home in 2015, the beginning of 2015.
You're talking this year?
This year.
For $2 a day over there?
$2. Yeah, it's a poor country. Many people are sustenance farmers. What they grow is what they eat. So when we go out there as the Peace Corps, a lot of my first projects over there was you would do a community development assessment. Go ahead.
I have to interrupt you. We got about a minute and a half.
Oh, all right.
Take about a half a minute to wrap it up.
All right. Well, I would just like to say, my international work in Madagascar, as we were discussing, you know, that international experience was something that was amazing for me. And I'd like to take that international experience and bring it home to the city that I love. Because I have a respect for local tradition and customs, and I want to use that experience that I gained in Madagascar, University of Texas, and from my community to help build a better community where I live and where I want to live. So Morris, thank you so much.
I think you would make a great councillor for the city of Revere.
And please consider me in the upcoming election. Yep, in the upcoming election for one of your 5 votes for Councillor at Large. Matthew Amato, thank you very much.
Right. And to the people of Revere, thank you for listening. And God bless our troops. But most of all, God bless our great country, the United States of America. And God bless you, Matthew.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.